Hello friends, it's another video from me. Today I wanted to share with you a list of all the books that I've started and not completed. And today I'm not gonna talk about the books that I am currently actively working on. Only talking about the physical books, the ebooks that I have put down on a longer stretch of time. Actually, I have one. I think I'm gonna start with the ebooks because that would be the easiest. I have 14 ebooks that I started and not completed. I think I said last time I did this video that I didn't have ebooks that wasn't on that was on this list, but that's not true because some of these are older than when I did that video last. So it's just me having a brain malfunction or something. Anyway, the first one I have is The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. I started this one. I have it on my TBR long list for the year 2025, but I started, I don't know how long I got into it, but I really enjoyed what I was reading, but I was overwhelmed with everything else that I was reading, so I put it down, which is this sort of thing that is with all of these books. A lot of them I put down because I was overwhelmed. The next one is in the same boat. I started on The Dragon's Blade by Michael R. Miller. I don't know how far I got into it, but I think I was around the 30% point when I put it down. But I liked this one. It was definitely interesting. Then we have The Atrocities by Jeremy C. Shipp, which is weird because it's a novella and only probably around 150 pages. But I never got all the way through it, and it was not because I didn't like it. I don't know why. Then we have Ghost of a Chance by Jasmine Galenon. This is the first in a magical cozy mystery with a cat. And I think I read the first couple of chapters, but I don't know if I continued. How much I got into it, I don't remember. It was for a readathon, I believe. But it was like a long time ago. Then we have Real Murders by Charlotte Harris. I know I started this one, but I don't know how far I got into it. But again, this was for, I tried to read it for The Owls at some point, but then had to switch it out with something very, very easy to complete The Owl, and that's why I didn't complete it. Then we have The Darkening Dream by Andy Guerin. I remember I read this in the beginning of the year, one year, when there was I was doing buzzword-a-thon, and it was dream that was the buzzword, and I read 40% of it, but put it down. I don't remember why. Then we have The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I read this while it was just after I moved here. That I was reading it, and my headspace was just not in it because I was filled with all of these things considering the move, and so I put it down and I reread a book instead, and that felt a lot more comfortable because I didn't have to think too much when I was reading it. So, and then I forgot that I started the book. And then we have Kissed by the Country Dog by Christy Miller. This was part of my heartwarming. I don't know if it was a hard DNF, but I definitely felt like I was getting into a slump, so I put it down. So I don't think I'm gonna get back to that one. And next up we have Dealing with Kate by Jamie Arras, which I'm halfway through, I think, because that was sort of a woman who was dealing in real estate. She was trying to sell a house, and this guy was the buyer of the house, and they got into a whole situation, a romantic thing. I didn't really like our main female characters, but I didn't hate it enough to sort of DNF it. So I want to finish it, so maybe I'll do that one day. And we have Hostile Territory by Maria James. I don't remember this one. I don't remember anything from it, but I think I read 30% of it. I have a hard time remembering what it's about. I think it's romantic suspense. Then we have A Quick Bite by Lindsay Sands. I started this maybe in August, but I didn't get super far. I think I'm around 25% into it. I saw that there's an audiobook of it on Storytel, so I might listen to it instead. And then we have Anything You Can Do by Layla Hagen. I don't know why I put this down. I don't remember what it's about. And last and finally, I have Throne of the Crescent Moon by Saladin Ahmad. I think I started that for a readathon as well, but never got around to finish it. Those were the ebooks. Now we have a bunch of stacks of physical books. It's not gotten better than last time, I can just reveal and say that, but I hope that I have an idea on how to move on with these in the next year. The first one I have is The Way of Kings, but the reason I didn't finish this one is because it expired from my library. I was about 150 pages in. I think I discovered that's how far I got, because I read the first part. Yeah, I was about to start part 2, so I'd read the first 194 pages of The Way of Kings when I had to put it down, or when it expired from the library, and I was back on. I had to wait around on hold for like a whole long time, but now I have the physical copy, so I'll try and start from where I left off. Another one I started but never finished was I Døden og Videre by Jacob Kokkedal. This is a Danish adult high fantasy. I only made it 62 pages in, so I have a hard time saying what this one is about, but hopefully when I get back to it I will end up enjoying it. I have heard excellent things about this series from my Danish fellow Danish readers, so hopefully it will hold up when it comes down to it. Another one that I've started and definitely not completed, but I was very excited about, and I think it's gonna be good, is Shawfall by Robert Jackson Bennett. I read the first one, loved it, gave it 5 stars. Then I started this one, I don't know what happened. I liked it, but I was 50 pages in, so I can't say. I was probably overwhelmed with something. Again. Then we have The Priory Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. I started this for the Booktube SFF Awards, I think in 2020. I remember reading it when I was in lockdown and stuff. I have annotated it, so I should be able to get back into it. I read the first 88 pages, haven't touched it since. I have little... I mean, it was a time when I was really into annotating, so I have these little cards of things that happened up until this point, with every sort of, I don't know, I put 150 pages-ish. So, and I have here a sort of key of what the different tabs mean. Next up is one that I've started this year and made a good dent into. I read it while I was on summer vacation, but never finished it, and that is Dream Fever by Karen Marie Moning. I have, I think, I'm on page 336, and it's, oh, it's glossary here. It's 453, so I have about 120 pages left of this book. No idea why I didn't finish it up, but I started on The Dark Day's Deceit, didn't get very far. I have read the first 82 pages, and I want to get back to this because it will finish up a series. I love the first 2. They just take a while to read because it's a little denser considering it's YA. I started on I'll Be There For You, the one about friends by Kelsey Miller, back in, I think it was about a little while after Matthew Perry passed away. And I got 92 pages in, and it was just, I think I was expecting it to be a little bit different. It's not exactly, it hasn't been what I wanted it to be. It's very textbook-like, and that's what I always fear about non-fiction. But I hope that I will get back into it and read more. So, next up we have Once and Future by Corey McCarthy and Amy Rose Capetta. This is a science fiction Arthurian retelling, and I've made it 68 pages in. Then I started A Phoenix First Must Burn by Patrice Colwell. This is a short story collection, and I am about to start the 4th story by Elia Dawn Johnson. I don't remember the first stories in here, so I might have to reread them all. Next up we have Northern Lights by Phil Pullman. This one I read the first part, again, about to start part 2. I've read this book before, but I was reading this for a read along with Rhea from the Bookfinch, and wanted to, I also have the second and third book in the series, and I was really enjoying it, but for some reason I just put it down. I'm not sure. Don't ask. Then I have When the Sky Fell on Splendor by Emily Henry. It's funny to think about Emily Henry being such a big author in adult romances now, and this is when she was writing YA. I don't know, I don't love this one super much. I definitely so far have preferred her sort of adult romance. But I read the first 182 pages, and I think it's 300 something. Yeah, so I'm about halfway, a little over halfway through. I think I made progress since I last spoke about this, but I'm not sure. Next up we have This Adventure Ends by Emma Mills. This is one I read for a book club, but I didn't finish it. I made it over halfway. I don't think it will take me long to finish it, and I made it annotations so I could read those and continue. Into the Wilds by Erin Hunter, the first book in the Warriors series following wildcats and their life. I made 146 pages in, stopped in the middle of the chapter, so good for me. Roomies by Sarah Sarr and Tara Altebrando. I don't know how... Okay, I got 72 pages in. Don't know if I can remember the things, but I think that there were two authors here, and I think they wrote for the different perspectives. There were two girls moving into this, and I think it was written by when they switched perspective between the two girls. I have The Night Shifted by Cassie Alexander. I made it 30 pages in, so can't remember. Probably the one that I have on my TBR, currently reading for the absolute longest. Crooked Kingdom by Liva Dugo, the second and final book in the Six of Crows duology. I liked the first one, gave it 4 stars. I don't know why I didn't continue. It's not that I disliked it. I don't know. I feel like I remember quite well what happened so far, so I don't think I have to start over. Next up, this one I started when we were on Crete last year, and I made it 143 pages in. Crowns of Coroswall by D.E. Knight. This is sort of, it's been compared to Harry Potter. I didn't love it as much as I mean, it wasn't the same, and I didn't love it fully, but it was interesting. I will get back to it. I started The Young Elites by Maria Lu. I made it to page 122. This was one of my sort of TBR unwrappings, if you remember. I don't know when I don't remember when I started this, but I think it was 22. A fairly recent book that I was reading and put down was The Graveyard Apartment by Mariko Koike. This one is, I was 188 pages in. It was starting to get really weird, and I'm sure it's going to be difficult to read, but I put it down because I was about to feel slumpy and didn't want to get there. So I will get back to it eventually. I have The Villa by Nora Roberts. I only read 12 pages, so it can hardly count as a start, but at one time I think I want to do a month of reading Nora Roberts stuff, because I have so many books on my Kindle and on my physical shelf and on my audios, so maybe that will be a thing. Next up, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This one I started in 2020, and I made it to page 472, and it's I think 800 and something, or maybe it's 700 and something. Yeah, 782. I I loved this one in the beginning. Then there was a middle part that I didn't really enjoy, and that's sort of why I put it down. But everyone says it's just about to get really, really good again, so it's just about me picking it up. But you know, it takes courage to pick up a book like that. At least when you're feeling like it's not you really enjoy. This one I started, not sure if I'm DNFing it, but it is The Testament by John Grisham. I made it to page 43. I don't remember when I was reading it, but I borrowed this from my parents. Next up, I started on Vengeful by V.E. Schwab, the second book in the Vicious. I don't know if it's a duology or if it's more, but I made it 53 pages. It stopped in the middle of a chapter. I don't know. I don't know about this one. The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Made it 43 pages in. A List of Cages. I feel like I started that one. I'm unsure right now. Yeah, I made it to page 34. The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Made it to page 124. Sort of urban fantasy about the boroughs of New York coming to life. Down These Strange Streets by George R. Martin and Gardner Dozois. Made it halfway, stopped in the middle of a story. Should just DNF that one because that really didn't like that. But I have some of these stories in here that were 5 stars. Very, very good. So I just need to move on. Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. Made it 176 pages in. Enjoyed the first one, gave it 4 stars. I like this one, but it's set differently and it was getting into a weird thing. I don't know if I was liking, so I ended up not completing that one. I was reading it for the BookTube SF course. The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield. I started this as a body read and made it 142 pages in. I liked it. Don't know why I stopped. Something to do with twins. Radical Element edited by Jessica Spotswood. Loved the first collection she did and read about half of it. Didn't love the second collection as much. The stories in here are like 3 stars, all of them. Yeah, 3 stars the first one, 3.5 stars, 3.5, 3, and that's the one I didn't finish. I didn't write it down, so that was a little bit sad that they were all like 3 and 3.5 stars, and that's probably why I put it down. Where the other was, there were a couple of 2 stars in there, but there was quite a few 4 or 5 stars. And obviously it's easier to pick up a story collection if all of the stories seems to be okay, and then there might be 1 or 2 dots in there. It's more difficult for me to pick up a story if they're all like 3 stars. Next up we have Night of Darkness by Sherilyn Kenyon or Kinley McGregor. This is the sort of historical set Dark Hunter book. Me and Shannon were buddy reading this, and I don't know what happened. We actually liked this one. That's all I remember. We liked this one a lot more than the other one. So why we put it down, I don't remember. It's probably my fault. I don't know. But we have decided now that we are going back to this one in January. So hopefully I will restart my reading of the Dark Hunter books when we get to the new year 2025. Another one that I started, I feel like it was a summer read. That was Furs of Calderon by Jim Butcher. I made it to page 90. So I have quite a while to go. And I don't remember exactly what was happening at this point. Another one, Ruin by John Gwynne. I made it to page 296, so I definitely made a good dent in this one, but I picked it up a couple of times since I started it. But every time has been a bad timing on my part, but hopefully I will find time to finish this over the next year. I also started on Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is an audiobook. I only made it to page 38, 39, so I need to get back to that one and listen to it. And these are the 3 last ones. European Autumn by Dave Hutchinson. I have made it to 209, and I probably have 100 pages left. I'm not sure if I remember what happened at this point, but I know it's a sort of a spy sci-fi thriller. Demon Princess by Michelle Rowan. This one I'm unsure about. 75 pages. And then I don't know about this one, but 'Cause She'll Start by Jacqueline Carey. I started this one that year when I was moving. In February, I was moving in the 1st of April. So I think I started in February or March, and then I didn't get around to finish it. But I made it 374 pages in, and when I was reading it, I read it really fast. It was easy to read. It was brutal with the things that were happening, and I'm not sure I was invested in the characters. But on the other hand, I was also intrigued, so I might get back to it at one point. We will see. So those are all of the books that I have on my currently reading shelf. I want to try and see if I can put a currently reading book on my TBR, a couple of them every month, and then see if I can at least make progress on them. And maybe I won't finish them, but making progress will eventually lead me to finishing something. And sometimes I might be able to finish it, we will see. It depends on the book. And maybe I'm gonna do a random thing with that. That depends a lot. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you have a problem of starting books and not finishing them as well. Because I definitely do. So I need to figure a way to sort of make this pile shorter and smaller. But also still want to sort of pick up new stuff. So it's going to be a balance. If it's everything I had for you today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.